We are working with almost 2 yards of fabric. First, subtract the half length of 13 inches and mark the full dress length at 36 inches. Next, mark 20 inches, which is the half circle radius. Now, place the fabric on a bias fold. Measure the radius at different points as shown and cut it out. This creates the flare. Next, place the bodice pattern on the fabric to cut. When cutting, add a 0.5 inch seam allowance at the hem, 1 inch at the side, and 0.5 inch on other areas. For the neckline, I didn't add any seam allowance since I'll extend the neck width and depth by 1 inch. To cut the back, place the front piece on another folded fabric, adding a 1 inch extension for zipper allowance. The back neck depth is 1 inch. Cut this out. Notch the folded corners and open it up as shown. For the sleeve, place another fabric on 4 folds. The pattern for the sleeve is also tagged and linked in the description box. Add 1 inch at the side and 0.5 inch at the top. Now for the cape, cut a square with a width of 9 inches and the length of 10 inches. Separate the center back. You would need 2 pieces. One serves as the lining, which can be the same fabric if preferred. For the front piece, measure the center length. It is 11 inches. Cut 2 pieces of the white fabric measuring 11 inches by 4 inches. Here's how it will be placed on the center front. To cut the collar, fold in a 0.5 inch seam allowance on both the placket and main fabric. Then measure the neckline. The front measures 7 inches and the back measures 5.5 inches. Please check the video linked in the description for a tutorial on drafting the collar. Separate the collar piece at the center front and notch the zipper allowance at the center back. Next, measure the waistline to cut the white fabric band. The width is 3 inches. Cut it as shown. This is how the dress will look when assembled. We will need to separate the cape center front. Notch the zipper allowance on the cape at the back and cut through the center. Moving on to sewing, iron gum stay on the lining. Place the right side of the lining on the main fabric and sew the center back first by 0.5 inch, then other areas, leaving the center front. Trim off excess seam allowance. Turn the fabric inside out from the center front and top stitch around the neckline. Join the front and back pieces at the shoulders. Overlock the raw edges to prevent fraying. Place the cape on the neckline, sewing from the center front to the center back, leaving out the 1 inch zipper allowance. Attach the white band to the waistline. Flip it back and top stitch. Repeat this process for the front waist. For the plackets, place the right side on the wrong side of the main fabric. Sew by 0.5 inch. Fold the other end by the same margin and top stitch as shown. For the collar, iron interfacing on the pieces. Sew the upper curve by 0.5 inch. Notch the seam and trim the excess allowance. Turn it to the right side. Place the collar on the neckline's wrong side and sew by 0.5 inch. Top stitch the upper collar and go ahead to prepare the other half of the bodice. Next, for the sleeves, fold the hem by 1.5 inches. Notch the center of the sleeves cap and align it with the shoulder. Start sewing from one armhole, stopping 2 inches before the shoulder, then continue sewing from the other side. Gather any excess fabric to fit the armhole and sew it down. Overlap the center front and top stitch from the cape's end downward as shown. Sew the sides by placing the back piece on the front. First, mark out the 1 inch zipper allowance, then mark the quarter of the chest and waist circumference, then the sleeve hem. Attach the flare to the waistline. Sewing by 0.5 inch. Then sew the zipper allowance by 1 inch. Ensure to align the band. For the hem, overlock the raw edges, fold by 0.5 inch and sew. For added grip at the waist, cut a 1 inch elastic to 4 inches in length. Sew on the elastic, stretching it from 4 inches away from the side seam towards the back. Stretch and sew till you get to 4 inches from the side seam towards the front. Back stitch at the start point and at the end point. Attach shell buttons and the dress is complete. Thank you for watching. Bye.